Hey guys, welcome back and I'm glad that you are still here. That means you have patience and you really want to learn. So from this lecture we are starting something really important, that is functions. So function is similar to program itself. So it's a group of statements within a program to perform a specific task. For example, you want to do addition, you create a function for that, and whenever you want to do addition you just call that particular function. So there are two type of functions. First is built-in function and the second one is user-defined function. We have already talked about built-in function like print, input, maximum, that power, and there are a lot more and we have already talked about it. But from this lecture we'll be talking about user-defined function. That means how we can create our own functions and also how to do some specific tasks, what is argument, what is parameter, and how we are going to return a value. So all these things we will be doing from this lecture. Now the first thing that I want to talk about is syntax and writing a small program of function so we can discuss some jargons. Let me start with writing a small function to add two numbers. To define a function, all I have to do is use def and then give the function name. So it's a user defined function. That means you can give any name except the 33 words that we have some restriction. So I will be taking my function name as sumf. So all you have to do is write the function name, and if you have some words that can be divided into two parts, you can use an underscore and write that word. You cannot use a capital or a dash. So this is the naming format. So if I'm using s_f, let me take it simply f for now. And now I need to define parameters. So there are two things that you need to understand. One is parameter and one is argument. So whenever we are calling a function, we pass some arguments. And what argument we are going to pass, that we need to define here, that is the parameters. Let me simplify it more. So if I'm doing sum of two numbers, my parameters will be to take two numbers. So number 1 and number 2. That would be my parameter. And what will be my argument? So if I'm doing 5 plus 7, my argument will be 5 and the second argument will be 7. And my parameter will be number 1 and number 2. So whatever the input that I am going to get for this particular function, that would be my parameter. So let me take two numbers for my sum. Now once you have defined all your parameters, all you have to do is use a colon and now you will be inside your function. So all you have to do is take the first argument, take the second argument and add them. So what we can do is create a new variable c, add both the arguments, pass into c and print c, or we can directly do that inside the print. Now here we have defined our function. The next thing we need to do is to call our function. So this function is not going to do anything unless and until we call it. So to call a function, all we have to do is write the function name and pass the argument. So my first argument will be my first number. So it would be 10. And if I need to pass my second argument, so I can pass 30. Now what you are expecting? So we are calling this particular function. So it will go into execution. Here it will check all the arguments. arg1 is going to get 10. arg2 is going to get 30. And then come inside this print statement and add both numbers and print that. Now let us run this program so we can understand the execution. You can see I got a result of 40. The motive of this lecture was to make you understand how to create a user-defined function. And this is just the basic syntax. From the next lecture, we will be performing more examples and there are a lot more things that we can do with function.